Good evening and welcome. Tonight, officials of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control arrived Jigawa State amid rising cases of mysterious deaths said to have no links to COVID-19. 160 Nigerians return home from the U.S. as they begin 14-day mandatory quarantine in the nation's capital, Abuja. 60 more Almajiri test positive for COVID-19 in Jigawa State as Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano cautions against politicizing evacuations of Almajiri. And British Prime Minister Boris Johnson extends COVID-19 lockdown until June 1st as he reveals roadmap to lifting of the lockdown. "160 Nigerian returnees from the United States of America have arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. The passengers handed over their passports to immigration officials and were taken from the tarmac along with their luggage aboard 8 buses to isolation centers in the nation's capital. Airport officials say they have no knowledge of anyone showing symptoms of COVID-19 on the flight. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, reports.
At 4 minutes past 11 a.m., the Ethiopian Airways flight ET-8509 landed at the international wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport from the Newark Liberty International Airport, New Jersey, carrying 160 Nigerian returnees who paid for their one-way economy class ticket with the airline. Airport officials and staff of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control are on ground to ensure the right protocols are enforced. "30 minutes after landing, the airport officials begin offloading their luggage from the aircraft right on the tarmac. Nothing of theirs is allowed into the airport. Soon afterwards, the passengers begin disembarking from the plane and are met first by NCDC officials. They pick up their luggage from the tarmac and make their way into the luxury buses that will take them to isolation centers where they will be for 14 days. Their passports are in the custody of immigration for that period.
The port health were able to go and test their temperature and issue them with the contact forms with their travel history and what have you. Then as they descend the aircraft, NCDC staff were on ground to issue them testing kits.
There's no one on this flight that showed any symptoms of COVID-19?
No, we were not informed.
There is no record so far of anyone showing symptoms of COVID-19 on this flight. The passengers are headed now to isolation centers where they will be for the next 14 days. During that period, they'll be tested for COVID-19, and those who are negative will be allowed to go home, while those who are positive will be quarantined and treated. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
All eyes are now on Jigawa State following reports of mysterious deaths in Hadejia local government area, where more than 90 persons are said to have died from unknown ailments. Now, the situation has drawn the attention of authorities of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, the NCDC, as they launch full investigation into the cause of the deaths. Although the investigation team has ruled out COVID-19 as cause, Channels Television speaks to the locals to get first-hand information from relatives of the deceased.
Over 100 kilometers away from the state capital lies Hadejia, one of the commercial local councils in the state. Unlike other local governments where lockdown is imposed because of the coronavirus, here in Hadejia, business activities continue like any other day. But in the last 7 days, there have been reports of the deaths of 92 people in this local council and the state government has ordered an investigation into the cause of the deaths. Channels Television speaks to the relatives of one of the deceased.
As early as age, we came and buried 2 people, 1 female and 1 male. So after we went back home, we had another information that we lost another 2 people, the same 1 male, 1 female again. So they are about 4 by now. What I have seen in the last 10 days, I think they are above 100, because there was a time we buried about 14 people here.
Sanda Haruna, who lost his mother, believes her death is from a mysterious fever ravaging the town.
Kusan kowane gida za ka ga cewa ana zazzabin wannan, kuma zazzabin na an rasa menene ke faruwa. In mutane suke ɗaukan corona ce, to kuma coronavirus ba irin symptoms ɗin da ake tsammanin shi bane.
The NCDC team has arrived to Jigawa to give the state technical support in identifying the cause of the mysterious deaths.
We have a standard protocol. There is a study that is related to burial grounds. That one gives us more of statistics with minimal details, but it gives us also a pointer into the community where to go. It gives us how widespread the problem is. It gives us the clustering of deaths where they are occurring and the frequency with which they are occurring. Then the last one, which is the most definitive, is the real tests, where we test swabs from dead people to give us a clear understanding if the person actually died of corona.
The next move is they will give us a protocol on how we will work with the traditional rulers. Wherever there is death, we beg the family to take sample so that we will know definitely what is the cause, so that we will curtail the spread. In case there is corona in the community, we will quickly know and we will quickly address the situation.
While the cause of the deaths in Hadejia is yet to be ascertained and cases of COVID-19 continue to rise in the state, residents are hopeful that there will soon be a solution to prevent more deaths in Jigawa State.
From Jigawa, we move to Bauchi State, where the government says reports of alleged massive deaths in Azare town is not linked to COVID-19 outbreak. This is a reaction to social media reports that 300 people died in a week, as well as a letter addressed to the president by a former lawmaker that went viral, alleging that residents of Azare had been thrown into great mourning and confusion after 100 people died of COVID-19. The state's deputy governor told journalists that an investigation has since been carried out and the number of deaths was inflated, while the cause is a seasonal heat wave in that axis and not COVID-19. He also confirms the first death from COVID-19 in the state. A casualty is from Azare town.
Now, on the issue of death that have been happening in Azare, you get so many reports. You get a lot of reports. Somebody will tell you 5 people died today. Somebody will tell you 30 people died today. In fact, somebody will even tell you that 300 people died within the last 2-3 days. But these are just reports. I personally went and interviewed the people who normally help or assist in the burying of the dead in the graveyards. And yes, there have been a number of deaths. This death is kind of a seasonal. It usually happens sometimes like that, and it comes the way it comes, maybe with a pandemic or without pandemic. Once it is very, very hot or it is very, very cold, you find people with underlying health issues, most especially the elderly. And it's exactly what happened within the axis of Kano, within the axis of Jigawa, Hadejia, Azare. We're all around the same axis. So because of the proximity of people in that area, this death also that took place in Kano and the rest of them which have been handled, also part of it spilled into Azare. But I tell you, and I'm very sure, the number of deaths is nowhere near what people are saying.
Meanwhile, the state governor, Bala Muhammad, has imposed a total lockdown on 3 local government areas. The local councils where the lockdown has been imposed are Katagum, Giade, and Zaki. The 10-day lockdown takes effect from 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 12th.
was even a wild rumor that Azare was becoming very bad in terms of death. We are therefore extending or establishing or enforcing a total lockdown of Azare town or other Katagun local government, Gia the local government, and Zaki. This is because most of the people from there are very close to Kano and Jigawa and Hadejia, and we understand there is a lot of problem in Hadejia, and many people from Zaki do go to Hadejia. Even though we don't have the spread there, we know it is just because we have not tested.
And back to Jigawa State, 60 Almajiri evacuated from Kano State have tested positive for COVID-19. This was confirmed by the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Abba Zakari, who said 600 samples of the Almajiri were sent for testing. 279 results returned, showing 22% of the Almajiri testing positive for coronavirus. Dr. Zakari also explains that another patient has been discharged after testing negative twice.
Received news of additional 33 positive cases in the state, and these 33 cases comprise 17 cases from contact tracing and routine surveillance, and 16 from the Almajiris, making a total of positive cases in Jigawa to 116. But I want to say also that out of this 116, 60 of them are Almajiris that were repatriated from Kano, and the remaining 56 other patients spread across the state, mostly contacts from cases that we already have.
So how much controversy is the evacuation of Almajiri children causing in the north? With their rejection by some northern governors, it seems to be a problem of taking on too many and can be handled, especially with many Almajiri testing positive. In this report, our correspondent, Oroluwa Shunibara, looks at the issue in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
A conversation once regarded as impermissible. The issue of the Almajiri has now become a case looking for where to settle, with voices of alarm being raised. With state governors grappling to maintain social distance rules in their domains and contain the spread of COVID-19, the relocation of thousands of Almajiri from one northern state to another and their subsequent rejection by other states is the concern of northern leaders. Another issue raising much dust and question is how hundreds of Almajiri are testing positive for COVID-19. The most worrisome inquiry being how many people they may have come in contact with. A concern raised by the Jigawa State Governor.
Right now, all Kano citizens and other citizens and Almajiri that are in Jigawa State will try to see how we secure them. We feed them while they are not in school, except if the parents want to take them, then we screen them and send them to the parents.
And then his counterparts from Kaduna and Katsina.
The situation in Kano is such that if these children were not brought to us, they would simply have died in Kano. Some of them would survive the disease, but the situation in Kano is overwhelming. I don't think anyone will remember to look out for Almajiris and test. Anything is better than this system, and we are determined as northern governors to end it.
For us, we will arrive at the same situation with my colleagues governors with regards to the issue of Almajiri. But our approach may be different, but the goal and the objective will remain the same.
With those concerns, it becomes clear that the Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, is at the center of it all for instigating the exodus.
It is not the transportation of the Almajiris that make them to become infected. The Almajiris are already infected from the origin where they are. Whether you transport them to another state or you leave them within your state, they are still infected.
With this and the cases of mysterious deaths also being linked to the coronavirus, a silent tension seems to be brewing in the north over how to handle the concerns and contain it before it gets out of control. Orolu Ashunibare, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, is COVID-19 a hoax or reality? That's a debate among a class of Nigerians who share divergent views on the reality on the ground. Plus, the mysterious deaths and rising cases of COVID-19 in some northern states are still a concern, and our in-house analyst, Babajide Ogusonwo, will be joining us to look into some grey areas. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If it has joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Officials of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control arrive in Jigawa State amid rising cases of mysterious deaths said to have no links to COVID-19. 160 Nigerians returned home from the U.S. as they began 14-day mandatory quarantine in the nation's capital, Abuja. 60 more Almajiri test positive for COVID-19 in Jigawa State as Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano cautions against politicizing evacuation of Almajiris. And British Prime Minister Boris Johnson extends COVID-19 lockdown until June 1st as he reveals roadmap to lifting of the lockdown. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Two persons said to be on the run after testing positive for COVID-19 in Kaduna State have been arrested by security operatives. The Kaduna State government had earlier declared them wanted with a directive to security agencies to track them down. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Amina Baloni, who confirmed their arrests, had earlier said in a statement that the two patients switched off their cell phones after they were informed about the result of their test. She says both of them are now at the isolation center where they are to begin treatment immediately. In Borno State, 12 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from its treatment centers at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and the isolation center. Out of the 12 patients discharged, 4 are members of staff of the UMTH, while 2 are said to have walked in on their own volition and asked to be tested. An unspecified number of inpatients, including health workers, had contacted the disease from the index case, leading to the death of some of them. The total number of those discharged from the isolation centers in Borno State now stands at 14.
Beyond these 6 people, we have many others that have tested negative as well, including non-health workers. But because they have not tested negative for the second time, they are waiting the second result for the second sample collected. They are not fit to go home. They are not free for discharge. So for now, for today, we are discharging the first set of 6 people. We are hoping that tomorrow or next, there should be more people to go home from our facility.
From malaria, it passes to sore throat. From sore throat, it moves to diarrhea. I voluntarily decided to come for test. When I came to test, I was confirmed positive. So right then, we were quarantined and placed under isolation.
The Kano State government today confirmed that no fewer than 47 health workers in the state have tested positive for coronavirus. This comes as the state governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, insisted residents of the state must adhere to guidelines on COVID-19 prevention issued by health authorities. Governor Ganduje also ordered security operatives to apprehend anyone found without face mask. The state coordinator of the task force on COVID-19, Dr. Tijani Hussein, explains that with the additional 29 new cases recorded in the state on Saturday night, the total number of confirmed cases in the state now stands at 576.
Health workers are critical to this response. Any one of them that got infected means we have one manpower down, and which affects the larger response. However, cumulatively, since the beginning of this outbreak, we have infection among health workers amounting to 47. As at yesterday, we had suspected cases 84. This brings to the total suspected cases in Kano to 1,820.
The next case of coronavirus in Kano State, Ambassador Kabiru Rabiu, has been discharged after testing negative twice. The state coordinator of the COVID-19 rapid response, Tijani Husseini, confirmed this to Channels Television. Ambassador Kabiru Rabiu was the index case of COVID-19 in Kano, discovered on April 11th at a private hospital in the metropolis. He said the former diplomat was discharged from Mokwana Dawaki Isolation Center on Sunday morning, having fully recovered from the disease. With restrictions put in place to contain spread of the coronavirus in Nasarawa State, economic activities appear to be crumbling, with grave impacts on the state's economy. As a state that depends heavily on federal allocation, the government is taking steps to cushion the impact of the pandemic on the economy. Governor Abdullahi Sule has assured that short and long-term plans are already being worked out to improve the economy of the state. Our correspondent Halima Gayam has more.
The hustling and bustling that is a major characteristic of Nasarawa metropolis appears to be fading away. Markets are closed except sellers of essential commodities. Non-essential businesses shut. Commercial motorcycles and tricycles suspended. Daily income halted. A drive through Lafia town portrays evidence of absence of some economic activities.
Even from the nobody state that they are used to come and buy machine here, they are not coming because of this issue.
We go to Lagos, go to Ibadan, elsewhere to go and bring our goods to our individual people. But in respect of this problem, it has affected our business because we have already locked our shop. We are not doing anything. We are only just sitting.
Amidst this, some individuals still find their way out, but their hope of earning a daily income is dashed by security personnel.
The restrictions are stricter now that the state has confirmed cases of the coronavirus and one fatality. While it is for the well-being of the people, revenue inflow has been crippled and the state economy has plummeted. But the government say in its rundown of priorities, the safety of the people comes first.
The state revenue boss highlights the interim rescue options, just as the state finance commissioner explains further.
Since the private sector and the public sector are not running, so we're looking at the informal sector. That is an area where we are looking at now to see where we can put in more effort to generate revenue in that regard.
We are reversing our budget based on the World Bank standard, which the fiscal assumption they gave us to do that is $30 per barrel.
Governor Abdullahi Sule sheds more light on post-COVID-19 economic strengthening measures aside agriculture.
Several things we are already doing in Nasarawa State, including reviving some of our abandoned assets, such as the fertilizer blending plants that we have, the packaging plant, the market that we have, anything that is going to be able to generate revenue for us, we are reviving them.
Nasarawa State depends 90% on federal allocations and a 300 million naira monthly generated revenue target, which is currently not realizable. How soon the pandemic ends would determine the pace at which the state's economy bounces back. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
At 21 more COVID-19 patients have been discharged from isolation centers in Lagos after they tested negative for the coronavirus. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on his verified Twitter handle, confirmed that the patients, comprising 4 females and 17 males, have now been reunited with their families. This now brings the total number of patients discharged from Lagos facilities to 469. When the news at 10 returns, days after the inferno that claimed 2 lives and destroyed property in the Monia area of Oyo State, residents are still counting their losses. They want stricter measures. Plus, more on coronavirus. Please join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. Though Lagos State is the epicenter of the coronavirus in Nigeria, there are concerns about the spread of the virus in Nigeria's 17 northern states. In its last official report, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control revealed that 57% of deaths due to the coronavirus are in northern Nigeria. Tonight, to discuss the rising number of cases and the deaths from COVID-19 across the north is Babajide Ogunsanwo, Channels Television's data and information consultant. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening.
Good evening. And in the last 7 days, we've seen more than 1,500 new cases of coronavirus. You've been keeping count and have been reported in Nigeria. Does this mean that there is a significant rise in the number of citizens that have been tested?
The summary of the test is less than 25,000 Nigerians have been tested, samples tested. That, in simple terms, means only 1 in every 8,000 Nigerians have been tested. But tonight, I'd like to start from a slightly different perspective. You know, exactly on this day, the 10th of May, 6 years and 2 decades ago, Nelson Mandela was sworn into office. The question on the lips of millions of Nigerians tonight is, can the government swear that the number of cases that are being reported in Nigeria are accurate? Here's why it is important. Nigeria is among the countries that have over 200 million citizens. The evidence we have tonight shows that every country in the world that has a population of over 200 million people have each tested over 100,000 citizens. In Nigeria, we've tested less than 25,000. Listen carefully to what I'm about to say. I'll probably just be able to say it once. The 10 states that have the most number of coronavirus cases, Lagos, Kano, Bauchi, Borno, Katsina, Ogun, Gombe State, Kaduna, Sokoto, and Jigawa State. These top 10 states that have the most number of coronavirus cases are the same states that President Muhammadu Buhari won in 2019. In these 10 states, he got more than half of his votes. Now, make no mistakes, by no stretch of the imagination am I linking the coronavirus to President Muhammadu Buhari. But here's what I'm saying. The founding fathers of social psychology, Gabriel Tad and Gustave Le Bon, talked about the herd mentality. In other words, we cannot solve the coronavirus by just looking at the way people rationally will behave. The election results and the number of coronavirus cases has shown that we also need to understand that in solving the coronavirus case in Nigeria, we need to understand the role of behavioral science. What we have seen is the government focusing on a lot of the rational steps that human beings in Nigeria will take. But the evidence that I've just explained shows that there's an irrational, there's a mob side, there's an emotional side to managing the number of coronavirus cases in Nigeria, especially in the north.
So is there any evidence then to explain the sudden rise of COVID-19 cases and the deaths, especially in the north?
So here's the challenge. In the last decade, the United Nations and our own National Office of Statistics has been screaming that states are not accurately recording the number of deaths or even accurately recording the number of births. So let's take an instance. In 2016, Kano State recorded less than 500 deaths in all of the year. So here's what I'll describe and how I'll analyze the mysterious deaths. And listen to this. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Let's take a close look at the rising cases of the coronavirus in one of the states, Kano State, because that will explain to us what has really happened. Now, remember, on the 27th of February, Lagos State recorded its first case. Lagos State took 36 days to get to 100 cases. Kano State took only 17 days to get to 100 cases. It took Lagos 51 days to get to 300 cases. It took Kano only 20 days to get to 300 cases. It took Lagos State 55 days to get to 500 cases. It has taken Kano State only 28 days to get to 500 cases. Here's what I mean. Kano State is the Ferrari of coronavirus in Nigeria. But more than describing Kano in that way, we need to understand the peculiarities of Kano. And so among the northwestern states, in terms of land area, Kano has the smallest land area, but it has the highest population. So one key word is population density. The second reason why we've seen that spike in a state like Jigawa, for instance, is Jigawa not only shares borders with Kano, Jigawa was created out of Kano. And in Kano, the evidence shows that 55% of those living in Kano are poor. So we have a combination of high population density and high poverty rates.
Would that also mean that, the information and the sensitization on coronavirus is lost on the population because of poverty?
Yes, you're exactly right. So one of the solutions that we'll look at is there perhaps has to be more random sampling of tests done in local governments, all local governments across the country that have high population densities, because the coronavirus loves to thrive in areas where there's high population density. Of course, we need to improve the speed of response to also make sure to contain the virus. But perhaps the most important thing is the quality of leadership in all the states needs to be taken more seriously.
So there can't be any copycatism, really. Each state has to develop its own formula for dealing with coronavirus.
Again, I initially started by talking about behavioral science. Each state has its peculiarities of demography. The average household size, for instance, in Lagos, is different from the size in Kano State. So each state has to understand its demographics to be able to come up with its own solution, working in partnership with the Ministry of Health, the Presidential Task Force on COVID, and also the NCDC. But last week, I couldn't talk about why Nigerians should be hopeful and why there's a reason to smile. And I hope I can quickly talk about that tonight.
Well, make it real quick.
Here's one lesson I've learned, the most important lesson I've learned so far in life. Here's it. Everything in life that has a beginning, except God, always has an end. Everything in life that has a beginning always has an end. The only mistake the coronavirus has made is to have a beginning. Oh, what a blunder this virus has made, to have a beginning.
A pleasure, as always, having you here on the News at 10. Thanks again.
Pleasure is always mine.
Now, Lagos State government has shut 2 facilities in Badagry West local government developmental area for flouting guidelines issued to operators of hotels, clubs, and other entertainment outfits in the state. The special advisor, Mr. Solomon Bonu, who confirmed this, expressed displeasure with the unlawful practices by the management of the two facilities, insisting that the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture were not followed in spite of several advocacies by the state government. Mr. Bonu says legal action will be instituted against the owners of the hotel and nightclub to ensure appropriate sanctions are meted out. Global knowledge around COVID-19 is evolving as the cases grow across countries of the world. There are theories and narratives suggesting that the virus is a hoax, and some Nigerians hold that view. Our correspondent, Dari Dewu, reports that the spike in the number of confirmed cases and deaths announced daily has not convinced some of the people he caught up with.
It is not a business day at the popular Yaba market. Ifeanyi and his friends sit in one of the makeshift tents, relaxed but not letting down their guards. Masks of different shapes and colors, an imagery of their varied views on the day's topic, COVID-19. For many of them, their conclusion is premised on their suspicion against the government.
If I tell you that I don't believe in Corona, I may be a liar. But what I will not truly say is whether it's in our country, Nigeria.
I believe that the coronavirus is in the world. But we here in Nigerians, we doubt about coronavirus based on our government.
One other place where national issues are tabled with diverse views and newspaper stands, just a glance at the headline and the debate is sparked. COVID-19 tops the list of topics to be analyzed here as well. Some say it's a hoax.
I myself, I don't believe, because the whole of Oshodi Solo, that's from Solo to Agro Palace. I can't trace any family that say that my family got this COVID-19. Even though it's this Sulele, I was born and bred in this Sulele over 41 years ago. I've never heard a case.
COVID-19 is real. And I hate the fact that people, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's illiteracy, they don't really believe in COVID-19. And we all know what is really going on at Yaba Isolation Center here, which everybody always pass, and we can't even go close to there, you understand? But what I would just say is that I think our government, they really need to educate people about this COVID-19.
A new report by the Partnership for Evidence-Based Response to COVID-19 says 98% of Africans are aware of COVID-19, but 20% of them believe they cannot contract the virus. In Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says it is disappointing to see people flouting the guidelines despite massive advocacy. But with the debate on whether COVID-19 is real or not, the effort to achieve compliance is definitely a work in progress. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
To security issues now, police operatives in Rivers State have rescued a Lebanese national from his abductors in a sting operation at a forest in Ndashieche local government area. The victim, Mr. Bilal Nosser, a renowned Nollywood actor, popularly known as Mr. B, was kidnapped in the early hours of Saturday in Imo State. Narrating his ordeal in a video obtained from the police, Mr. Bilal says he was lured by a caller to discuss a business deal and then taken to an unknown destination.
I saw a message in my bathroom, in my iPad. Mr. B, please call me. I have business for you. The man photo appear. I call him with my MTN line. Who is this? He said, my name is Clifford. We have a new hotel for you to take over. We reach one isolated area. About 7 people come from bush. One of them carry one local pistol. They started hitting me with cutlass. See, they even hit me. This guy hit me. This guy carry enter front. They hit me in my body. See my jaw swollen. See my lip.
No, sorry.
See, hit me. Oh yeah, enter. Today you must give us all your money. all your money for ATM, you must transfer anything or we'll cut you to pieces. Luckily for me, we reached for one place, 2 palm 3 day for road. So they cannot cross. He has to stop the motor. One of the kidnappers at the back came down to take the pantry out. As he wanted to take the pantry out, I was praying. Then one boy came from the bush and said, don't take that palm tree, leave it. Then I had the chance to open the door. I opened the door because there were 3 kidnappers behind and him, he was driving. So I came down and I started running. I was inside the village. People came from nowhere. They surrounded me. They run with the motor. This is how God saved me.
According to a statement from the Rivers State Police spokesperson, one of the kidnappers was arrested after Mr. B contacted the security forces and has made useful confessions, including naming other members of the gang. What a harrowing experience. Rescue efforts continue, though, at the site of the weekend inferno at Monia in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State, where a diesel-laden tanker crashed and went up in flames. 2 people have been confirmed dead in the incident, with many injured, while several shops and vehicles were completely burnt. Rescue workers at the scene want strict enforcement for traffic regulations to prevent more avoidable deaths and loss of property. Our correspondent Bukola Oriowo reports.
The carnage at Monia in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State is huge. 2 days after the incident, rescue efforts still continue. 2 deaths were recorded, while property worth millions of naira, including the livelihoods of many shop owners in the area, have been affected. An eyewitness account says the accident occurred as a result of brake failure from a diesel-laden tanker.
A Micra wanted to swerve. Are you getting it? That oncoming trailer, the tanker, could not. He didn't want to hit that Micra. In the process, he wanted to swerve. In the process of swerving, he somersaulted.
The number of body recovered so far was 2. One burned beyond normal, and the other one also burned. And we still have and believe that we still have more body because there is a station wagon stuck under the tanker presently.
Traffic officers at the site of the inferno appealed to government, road safety and road maintenance agencies to ensure stricter safety measures are applied to avoid future occurrences.
Okada riders here, Micra drivers here, Marwa people here, they are not listening to instructions. They need iron hand. I want the government to reinforce Otma, civil defense, road safety to come here and help us because they don't listen at all.
For now, the ongoing construction on the Monia-Isenyi Road had to be halted till all debris is cleared, while livelihoods of victims fortunate enough to escape with their lives also remain at a standstill. Bukola Oriowo, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson extends COVID-19 lockdown until June 1st as he reveals roadmap to lifting of the lockdown. Stay with us. Welcome back. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced he will not be lifting lockdown restrictions until the government achieves its goal of a world-beating system in which it is testing hundreds of thousands of people every day. In his address this evening, he unveiled a 5-part plan for reopening the country, encouraging Britons to work from home, and where they cannot work from home must get to work by car. He also believes the first stage going further will be to the phased opening of shops and to get primary and secondary school pupils back into schools by June, some hospitality places open by July, and the possibility of a quarantine for people coming into the country by air.
And though we have made progress in satisfying at least some of the conditions I have given, we have by no means fulfilled all of them. And so, no, this is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week. Instead, we're taking the first careful steps to modify our measures. And the first step is a change of emphasis that we hope that people will act on this week. We said that you should work from home if you can and only go to work if you must. We now need to stress that anyone who can't work from home, for instance, those in construction or manufacturing, should be actively encouraged to go to work, and we want it to be safe for you to get to work. So you should avoid public transport if at all possible, because we must and will maintain social distancing, and capacity will therefore be limited. So, work from home if you can, but you should go to work if you can't work from home. And to ensure you are safe at work, we've been working to establish new guidance for employers to make workplaces COVID secure. And when you do go to work, if possible, do so by car, or even better, by walking or bicycle. But just as with workplaces, public transport operators will also be following COVID secure standards.
Germany has seen a rise in the number of coronavirus cases just days after easing lockdown measures in the country. The Robert Koch Institute says the country's reproduction rate, that is, the number of people each confirmed patient infects, is now above 1, meaning that the number of infections is now rising in the country. The report on Germany's rising number of cases came as thousands of Germans gathered on Saturday, calling for a total end of the lockdown. Chancellor Angela Merkel had announced a broad relaxation of national restrictions on Wednesday, following talks with leaders of the country's 16 states. But the protests called for measures to be lifted even quicker. Over in the U.S., the state of New York is investigating 85 cases of children with an inflammatory disease linked to COVID-19 and is alerting other states of the newly discovered symptoms presenting in children.
We've notified the CDC. We're watching it for the CDC. The CDC will communicate. But nobody knows that it wasn't here and just not diagnosed because it doesn't look like a COVID case.
Your Excellency.
Meanwhile, several African countries have put in orders for COVID-19 organics, a plant-based remedy championed by Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina, despite WHO warnings that it is not yet proven. The country is putting its self-proclaimed COVID-19 cure on sale, despite warnings from the World Health Organization that the plant-based remedy is not proven. The streets of Paris remained quiet today as the city observed its last day of strict lockdown measure imposed to contain the spread of coronavirus. The lockdown, which began on March 17, has been in place for over 50 days. And finally, a 65-year-old COVID-19 patient on life support for 62 days has recovered. After a double lungs transplant surgery in the central Chinese city of Wuhan, the worst hit city by the epidemic in China. The man was able to dine on his own 19 days after the surgery. In sports news, Shanghai Shenhua expect Nigeria international Odion Igalo to return from his loan spell at Manchester United in time for the start of the new Chinese Super League season, which is scheduled to begin in July. Manchester United are keen to extend Igalo's loan to cover the end of the English Premier League season, the date of which remains unclear amid the COVID-19 pandemic. As it stands, Shanghai Shenhua will only allow Igalo to remain at Old Trafford if it is on a permanent deal, and the Chinese club value him upwards of £20 million. Igalo revealed last month that there is no offer on the table yet from the Red Devils over extending his stay at the club beyond his current loan spell, despite manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hinting that a deal could be made. Football action is gradually returning to Europe, and the first official football action to be played in Western Europe since March took place to little fanfare at the weekend behind closed doors in the Faroe Islands. The country's top flight league, which was scheduled to start 2 months ago, has been halted owing to the coronavirus pandemic. Three-time champions Vikingur kicked off the season with a goalless draw against rivals Argia. La Liga have confirmed that 5 players have tested positive for coronavirus across Spain's top 2 divisions. The unnamed players are all asymptomatic and are now in isolation. They will continue to be tested and can only rejoin training when they return 2 consecutive negative results. La Liga started testing players last week as part of the protocols in place for training to resume and elite football in Spain to get going again behind closed doors in June. And the main news again. Today, 160 Nigerians returned home from the U.S. To begin the 14-day mandatory quarantine in the nation's capital, Abuja. Also, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson extended UK COVID-19 lockdown until June as he revealed roadmap to lifting of the lockdown. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.